It hasn't even been 2 weeks since the government announced its about-face on China in their Indo-Pacific strategy that we learned that the Liberals awarded a contract for RCMP communications equipment to a company with ties to the government in Beijing. Sinclair Technologies was awarded the contract for a system meant to protect the RCMP's land-based communications from eavesdropping. Here's the problem. Sinclair Technologies' parent company is owned in part by the Chinese government, and it's charged with 21 espionage offenses. There is nothing to review. Will they terminate this contract today? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And of course, we are aware of the concerns surrounding the RCMP's contract with Sinclair Technologies, and our government is looking into them and examining all potential options. We do take all measures to ensure the integrity of our infrastructure very, very seriously. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Here's an option. Terminate it. They admitted that they didn't take security concerns or Sinclair's ownership into consideration during the bidding process. Worse yet, Sinclair's main competitor for the RCMP contract was a Quebec-based firm called Comprod. They chose made in China instead of made in Canada, and the difference between St. Clair and Comprod was less than $60,000. The U.S. blacklisted St. Clair's parent company last year, and Canada just gave them a contract. So did they really just sell national security for 60 grand?
Wow. The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, as we've said on a number of occasions, we're obviously looking extremely carefully at the details of how this contract was awarded, but I assure my colleague
The Honourable Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, as I was in the course of explaining to colleagues in this chamber, of course, we're extremely concerned with the revelations around this contract, which is why we're reviewing it very carefully. And obviously, we put in place very rigorous protocols to guard against any threats to national security. Those are protocols that this government continues to reinforce with additional supports for law enforcement, additional supports for national security, additional supports to make sure that we're protecting all of our democratic institutions, including the critical infrastructure that supports our police. Thank you.
Before going on, I just want to remind the honourable members, when they shout out something and it's very clear to the Speaker that it's not parliamentary, and I won't call anyone out, but I just want to put it out there that the next time I hear something like that, I'm going to have to call the person out, and nobody wants to be embarrassed in front of their peers and their constituents who put them here. Hopefully, they'll be proud of their members who are here because they're being civil to each other.
The Honourable Member for Charles-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, in what kind of country does the Prime Minister allow the Chinese Communist regime access to its most secret files? The answer? In Canada, of course. 2 years ago, this Prime Minister awarded a contract to a company with close ties to the Chinese government for machines in our embassy. Luckily, that was stopped, and today we've learned that this very same Prime Minister has awarded another contract for electric components of that with ties to the Chinese Communist regime for RCMP communications systems, where security has to be ironclad. Why did the Prime Minister open the doors to the Chinese Communist regime? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, same question, same answer. We have independent public servants who will be examining this contract in particular. That has to do with the RCMP. What is more important is that all MPs in this House understand that we have made investments to grant tools necessary for public safety for our democratic institutions. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Charles-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, we have a major problem here in Canada. 2 years ago, the Nuctech file was closed. Recommendations stated that all purchases had to be stopped with companies that had direct links to the CCP. So why are we here today with a new contract with the Chinese Communist regime, especially with regards to such important communication infrastructure for the RCMP? Does this government actually make decisions, or does everyone just do what they want?
Mr. Speaker, and of course, as my colleague have said, and I've said as well, we're taking these concerns extremely seriously. We're looking at all options, we're reviewing processes, and our concerns are with you on this particular issue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.